Jimmy McAllister found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Taylor.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler. Is the tie for a winner.
Players injured, a player sent off, 2 more goals conceded, and even though it's taken 10 games longer than I thought it would, we're finally bottom of the league. But at least our Des has had a nice family holiday to China, whilst folk that work at the football club that he owns, are wondering whether they're going to get paid in 2 weeks' time or not. Viva fucking Chancery. Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Tie-Dye podcast. I'm James Mappin, and with me this week, as he always is Mr. Matt Johnson. One of Matt Johnson's. You found out that there's quite a few Matt Johnsons out there, and Wednesday fans as well, Matt.
Turns out, mate, it's quite a common name, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm sure we'll get into the away day, but yeah, I spent a bit of time with other Matt Johnson yesterday. The much better version of Matt Johnson, by the way. The much better version, much bigger, much better looking Matt Johnson than me. It was with him and Drumfield. I think it was Drumfield Town's under 17s as well yesterday, who were all drinking waters because they had a big game today. They managed to eke out a strong win today as well. So yeah, it was really good. Yeah, really good.
What's the keeper like? Just asking. Just curious.
I know. He will definitely do a job. Put it that way. Definitely do a job.
First of all, let's get on some Rangers chat because listeners seem to get on board with that last week. So I thought I might make it a feature. What you reckon, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting to see that Danny Röhl and then Kevin Muscat has also turned down the job. So
Matt, let's stop it. Let's stop it. I don't want to rile people up too much, you know. I just want to say as well, before we do get underway, I've heard that there were a few, serious head on for a second. I've heard there were a few scuffles yesterday in the ground at the Valley, apparently over the boycott on Wednesday. There was also something on the train back. I know Peter rang me over something else, and he was saying he's going to have to get a taxi back because he's missed the train, and the train had to stop at Leicester for the coppers to turn up and everything else. But there's going to be people listening to this or watching this that have different views. That some that will be going, some that won't. Whether that's different views on anything else, maybe you think that Ivan Hor-Bath's a good goalkeeper or not. I've no idea. It is why football is so great. You don't need to start calling people scabs or hurling abuse over whether they want to go to a game or not. I won't be going on Wednesday, but if you want to, that's absolutely fine. I have my reasons why. You'll have your reasons why as well if that is the case. But we don't need to get to that stage, do we, Matt, where fighting amongst ourselves both on a keyboard and now physically as well.
No, it does absolutely nobody any favours whatsoever. I'm sure for anybody who was in the situations that yourself was contacted about yesterday, the whole thing's not just unnecessary. It's just the whole thing is just born out. The whole thing is born out of frustration, isn't it? As a Sheffield Wednesday fan, because the one entity that you need answers from and want answers from, there aren't any answers forthcoming. The silence speaks volumes in obviously the chairman's absence. That is then obviously leading to an awful lot of division amongst the fan base. There was I put my hand up as I class myself as an away fan. It came in for a lot of flack this week in terms of being part of that group and all the rest of it. I think rather than picking and digging at one another, and I know certainly people are well entitled to their own viewpoints on matters going on at Sheffield Wednesday at the minute, I just think it's one of those where there are so many people who are trying to do good things for the benefit of the football club on a wider whole around it from the fan base, that actually if you support something, get behind it. If you don't support something, you don't need to say, you don't need to get involved, you don't need to be doing anything with it. So yeah, it's tough, but again, we've mentioned it a number of times, James. It's his most successful thing that he's ever done here is divide the fan base. Sorry, not defend the fan base. He's never done that, but divide the fan base. It is his legacy at Sheffield Wednesday is the division amongst the fan base.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, it's just sad to see, really. I mean, you're always going to get differing views. You know, the fact that we have such a big fan base, you're never going to get everyone kind of using that word united. It's just not going to happen at all. But yeah, it's him that's causing all this. There's no one else really at all. Matt, on a bit of a lighter note, before we get into the game and stuff, did Charlton the away day, kind of live up to the expectations? Because you were bigging it up beforehand, saying that, you know, it's probably one of the best ones of the season. You know, obviously it was the first one in the capital this season for us as well. I mean, was it as good as this time around as it was kind of a few years ago that you remembered?
Yeah, I mean, nothing beats Wednesday in the capital. There is genuinely something special about Wednesday away down there. You can have good away days elsewhere, but yeah, there's always something a little bit special about London. I'm not a huge fan of London as a place, but Wednesday away down there's not many finer sights as a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Again, I think it's one of those situations where you go down and every single person who was there yesterday, who I interacted with in a number of different kind of like ways and forms, is just, yeah, it's just a really interesting, it's just such a good day. And it's such a good atmosphere amongst Wednesday fans. And because you've got several different places to go, we ended up spending actually the day in London Bridge yesterday before the game, and didn't actually make it to the Angustin Hotel, which I've been bigging up beforehand, because it was so good. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah, really good day, just spoiled by 90 minutes of football, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of away days, where does it rank for you then, Charlton away? Because I must admit, if I had to pick any, you know, just like of the, it's not really one that I would reach for just naturally. I suppose maybe it's a if you know, you know kind of place.
Yeah, I think it's just because of where it's placed. Obviously, it's placed 20 minutes outside of London Bridge. You can get off at Greenwich. There's a number of places that you can go around there. I mean, we spent yesterday in and around Borough Market, which is a very wanky, touristy type of place. But yeah, the pub that we went into was called the Wheat Sheaf, just outside of it. And just stayed from mid-morning through. They will have done a right trade yesterday based on Wednesday fans. The view you have stood outside of it, for anybody who was on our Instagram stories will have seen it yesterday. You've got the underpass with like the Shard out front. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's just a really, really good day. There's, you know, pubs on every single corner. You kind of treated a little bit like a zoo animal whilst you're there, though, as a football fan, because you've got lots of tourists who are all walking around with cameras, and the minute you start singing, all of the crowd stop and all phones go up and start filming and videoing you. Yeah, you've got Wednesday fans who are walking past to another pub who are starting off chants as they're going. Yeah, it's just, again, it's a really, really good day. And for anybody who, you know, in future years when people are, you know, feel comfortable being able to attend away games and go back to their normal routine surrounding it, I would really encourage for any of those, that Charlton, Millwall, those type of games, yeah, 100% to go and just enjoy it for what it is, really.
Matt, what was this you were telling me about before? We gained a German fan? Yeah. Bayern Munich or something?
Yeah, so I was chatting to two lads who myself and my dad bumped into, and then before we knew it, there was a German tourist who'd come in, and in his own words, he'd said, yeah, because it looked like a lot of fun. And he'd managed to pick up a spare because the two lads we were talking to, their dad hadn't been able to travel down for the game because he'd been double booked basically and hadn't travelled down to the game. They sold him a ticket, and before you know it, he's got a Sheffield Wednesday Trust scarf wrapped round his neck, and he's on his way to the Valley for 90 minutes of wildly mediocre football. It's a bit of a come down from, I think, Bayern Dortmund were playing last night, so it's a bit of a come down as a Bayern fan going and watching that.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane, Ike Ugbo.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a natural comparison, isn't it, to be perfectly honest with you? Yeah, it's bizarre, really bizarre. So you mentioned Matt, obviously, right at the top of it. He came down with his ex, they're now under 17s, I think, football team, and he's taught them all the way from under 6s all the way up. He came down with a bag of, I think there was about 20 Trust scarves that he'd still got left over with him, and they were gone within about 30 seconds. There was just, you know, like, you're bumping into people on those away days who you've spoken to or met before, like, a couple of times and had a conversation with here, there and everywhere. And it's again, I'm a big advocate for following the football club away from home.
Has he got a spare? Has he got a spare scarf for Carlos, though? Because we've heard that Carlos is going to be there on Wednesday.
What,
I mean,
DC's pulling out all the tricks, isn't he? All the tricks, trying to get him there. He'll be able to pick his fucking seat, though, won't he, on Wednesday night?
I'm surprised it's not come out. It'll come out on Monday that Carlos is going to be there doing a free signing session. He'll be signing £20 notes for everyone, and in front of the South Stand. Get yourself down at half time. It'll be at half time at the front of the South or whatever. Get yourself into the ground and it's.
I feel. Do you know what, James? I do feel really sorry because actually he is a manager who, regardless of whether you think he should have done better or not for the football club. He's a manager who I don't think, please correct me if I'm wrong, aside from the time that he turned up as Swansea manager, he actually hasn't been back to Hillsborough to watch a game.
No.
And
well, I think he's had about 75 other jobs since then. He's been a busy guy, hasn't he? He's been to Braga about 4 times as manager. He's been out into the Middle East. Where else has he managed as well? I'm surprised he's not tipped up as some sort of obscure international manager as well somewhere. But
I just think it's really interesting, and it would be. It's a real shame that a manager in Sheffield Wednesday's recent history who has had some relative success is not going to be given the applause and adulation that he probably deserves, and a number of fans who would, regardless of whether he's there to watch the game, whether he's there for, I know a couple of people have mentioned it in the chat on Sky, whether he's playing in goal, who knows. But it's just a shame that a manager like that should be coming back at a time where, even if the football club's not in a better position than when he left it, he's coming back into it where actually fans get the opportunity to thank him for what he did and making us all believe and have a dream again, if that makes sense, which is, unless he heads down to, one of the several pubs around Hillsborough to watch it on a screen, he's just not going to have, which is a shame.
Yeah, he's going to walk in and go, it'd be that, what's that John Travolta meme?
Yeah, the one from Pulp Fiction where he just walks in with his coat going, ooh, no one here.
Or it could be the Simpsons one, the grandpa, where he walks in, puts his hat on, and walks back out again and goes, this is a bag of shit, this. I'll come back on Saturday when we're playing Oxford. Let me just get into some of the comments. I'll bring one up here. Miranda, evening. Great to meet Matt yesterday. Keep up your great work.
I bumped into Miranda just after I'd picked up a pint, a bottle of water, and a steak pie. And I was thinking, I'm going to tuck into this. And then, thankfully, I got stopped by Miranda and had a nice, good chat with her for about 5 minutes or so. So, it's, again, and there was a number of people who came up and had a conversation yesterday. I do really, really appreciate it. Miranda was, lovely, really, really pleasant, good to talk to. There was a couple of people who came up and were talking about stuff that, they disagreed with myself on, or they disagreed with stuff that we'd put out as a podcast. But again, the way in which at least in my own interactions, that, people approach that, it was exactly what you want as a fan. It's respectful, it's good debate, it's a good conversation, which is why when, I'd got in and you'd messaged about the reports that were coming out of the Valley yesterday, I was genuinely quite surprised by it in terms of from yesterday. But yeah, it was great chatting to Miranda. So yeah, if you do see me, please say hello.
Yeah, definitely. Can't miss you. We'll come on to that in a second.
No, fucking no.
Marquez, the future is very bleak. The HMRC are very close. Philip says we've all got a Chancery hangover. I think that's in response to this one. Even only here for Matt's hangover. Ian says, any news on when the Trust shirts are coming? A little bit of a snag with the shop that they're going to use to sell them. But very, very, very soon, Ian. Watch this space. I've been pushing for them to sort it out. I think the whole news of the kind of winding up order and potential administration and stuff has probably preoccupied the Trust's resources, let's say. But we're working on it, Ian. We're going to try and get it sorted as soon as possible. James says, anyone else sick of the sympathy and platitudes coming our way? And then we've got one from Matt, says, what happened to black and gold until it's sold? Are all those kits in the wash? Matt, yes. That is the answer. That is the answer. I mentioned it on the stream on Saturday. I think the Patreon members know as well. I'm heading down to London for a spot of filming for a YouTube game show as well, which will be coming out shortly. And I'm going to be wearing black and gold when I go down there. And they've asked us some shirts as well for the background. So I didn't want to. I wore one yesterday doing the stream. So I'm like, I'm not going to They're in the wash, Matt. That is the answer. They are in the wash. I haven't got any other black and gold shirts, so I thought I'd just don the 93, 94 home shirt this time around. Do get your comments coming in, as always. I'll try and get through.
Sorry,
as
James,
many.
just before you move on, I am just going to pull up. Tom's in here. Loved it, lads. Thanks for the spontaneous afternoon entertainment. Best German Tom. So,
There he is.
Big fan, Tom.
Love it. Right, I have to talk about that photo that I posted on the socials, Matt, at WTID Pod. If anyone is interested, and you're not already following. If you're watching, I'll bring it up. Look, here we go. This is the photo that I'm talking about, Matt. Just for those that listen on the audio medium, it's a photo of Matt from behind in the stand, and he's about 18 foot taller than everyone else. What's happening there?
Twat. That's what's happening there. What a prick. So that was in the throws just after Jamal Lowe had roofed the ball into the net and Wednesday fans were celebrating. I think in those moments of like pure and sheer stupidity, like the delirium of a goal, like you do something like totally fucking out the box. For some reason yesterday I decided to jump up on a chair. Was like, yes, fucking get me up here. I'm going to fucking give it some. And then obviously everybody else around me had hopped down and I hadn't noticed it at that point. So that was probably to do with the, copious amounts of alcohol drank before.
Water,
yeah,
Matt,
water, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, just hopped up and was like, yes, come on, started clapping and then realised, oh no, it's only me. Cool, right, I'll hop down here now. But yeah, Andy was quick on the draw. Andy Rowe from Discord was very quick on the draw to have snapped. You can't miss the limbs. Yeah, the hands and arms give it away. It's like Slender Man being stood on a chair.
Can I also say as well, this is why I love the Discord community, because we've got a lovely edit with of this one here holding up a cake ball.
That was fucking magic. That is peak Steph Curry 3-pointer game shot winner.
Oh, do you know what? How quick people are, because I think that picture was up literally about a minute and someone had already edited it. It's like people have got the cake ball saved in the photos ready to just as an asset. Like, I'm going to put it on everything. But no, lovely stuff. It's always good to have a bit of a laugh. Talking about having a laugh, whilst we're on photos as well, I referenced it at the top. Nice to see that Ardej is just enjoying a nice little family holiday, really committed to finding that money that he needs to pay HMRC. Maybe he's looking for it in China, because that's where he was photographed. Or well, on Thursday there was a photo posted on Instagram of him in China. Nice little skyline and stuff. He had all his entourage, seemingly the same entourage that was there in Mayfair as well. Matt, it's just not a great look, is it? I mean, I know people still have to live and they still have to carry on. You can't just, hide in a bunker and just, well, it seems like he's hiding in a bunker, to be fair, but it's just a little bit of a bad look in it, really.
It's tone deaf, isn't it? Like, is what it is. Like, it's tone deaf, and it's not just because obviously it's not him who's posting it, and this isn't any of his immediate family members. I don't think this is like people who are part of that wider circle of people who are around him who are posting it to Instagram. I mean, first and foremost, to me personally, James, he looks ill.
He does actually.
He's lost a lot of weight. Now, I've seen some people saying, well, that's not a bad thing. He was maybe a bit heavy for kind of like his frame and his height and all the rest of it. Do I wish any harm on him or his family? No, of course I don't. Of course I don't. I don't know him. But again, it's just proof that he has no idea about the optics of the situation, and neither do his family, which gives you an indication that actually they've never actually been as invested as they've claimed. It's always been a bit of a play thing. It's always been something that, yeah, granted, he didn't post it, but if you were invested as a family, you would be saying, wouldn't you, to your family, do not post a fucking thing. Do not put anything out there. Keep them, post them in your group chats, put them on, like your private.
We're gonna take a photo. I'll just step out of the photo.
Yeah.
Take your photo and you can do whatever. All right, people can put two and two together and say, "Oh, it must be there because and how people find these things, I have absolutely no idea."
Yeah.
But you can't then say he was there or he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? You might be able to guess and say he probably is, but if he's not in the photo, he's not there, and it's just for a lot of people. I mean, especially for those staff that haven't been paid and stuff. It looks like he's on another holiday. Like to my knowledge, he doesn't look. He doesn't live in China. No, he lives in Thailand. But to all them people that haven't been paid, and again, we're on the 19th of October as we sit down. We're getting very close again, a week and a half, to the point where these people are going to be paid again or not paid again.
Yeah.
And it's just, five of the last 7 times haven't been paid on time, and we see him in Mayfair. That was the first one, apparently at a swanky restaurant, and then we now see him again on another seemingly a holiday that it looks like they're on, and it just doesn't. Yeah, you said tone deaf. Hulking Hilo said exactly the same thing. It's just not a great look whatsoever at all.
No, it isn't at all, James. And I think when it comes back to, because, there was a lot of talk about, and I know we're going to come on to obviously the game, but there was a lot of talk about the director's box and was he going to be there or wasn't he going to be there? And people ran with sort of like information that people had put out surrounding, look, you need to keep an eye out on the director's box and all the rest of it, etc., etc. Myself personally, I just look at it and think, number one, he's never coming back to anything Sheffield Wednesday related. Never. No. Like, he's never going to be around it. He's never going to attend another game in his life. He may keep an eye on it in the future when it's all gone, but I would actually imagine it becomes a bit of a painful memory for him to be associated with. Do I think his family may still keep an eye on it? Like his son grew up with the football club. He's the reason why the football club was purchased, allegedly, according to his own words out of Chansiri's mouth. I just don't think it's, again, James, you've said it absolutely nail on the head. It's just not a good look when you are, you're in the situation that you're in, to be seen holidaying with your family and still enjoying the high life and the skyline in far-flung cities around the world. Yeah,
you're holidaying and people can't buy a tin of baked beans. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's the difference, and it's all his fault as well. Yeah, no one else's. We might as well. We're going to talk about his labour. We might as well, since you referenced like them. In him being in attendance or not in attendance yesterday, we might as well talk about it now. There were rumours that he was going to be there. I mean, I've seen a photo from the the actual director's boxes, like the what's the word I'm looking for?
Like the banqueting suites and stuff like that. Or the pre-match lounge or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I've seen a bit like the table plan and stuff. So the people that officially that were the chairman's advisor, Kevin Beadle, or Beadle, head of recruitment, Tom, I think, which is his son, Tom Beadle, Steve Littlejohn, another guest of Kevin's, and then Rob Cox, the head of catering. First of all, like I say, I am glad he wasn't there, just mainly for his sake, not ours, and I suppose safety as well. You never know what could have happened, and Andy is not welcome at all to any game as far as I'm concerned. But also, why is head of recruitment there? Are we not under an embargo? Are we not under a transfer fee ban? Are we not nearly facing administration? What's head of recruitment looking at? He should be in China having a holiday. If anything, we don't need him anymore.
I think the other thing is as well, James, is the figurehead here who has got off lightly, who, for my money, represents everything that has been wrong with Sheffield Wednesday during Dejphon Chansiri's era. Amadou Pakshao still feels very emboldened and well within his rights to attend every Sheffield Wednesday game. Now, I know this will probably be at the chairman's behest, and it will be the chairman who's saying to him, I want you there. I want you there. I want you in the stand. I want you to provide a report to me post the game, because I would assume that's what a personal assistant does, effectively a dog's body. That's what you're doing, isn't it? You're there to listen to whatever his boss is telling him to do, and he just goes and does it. He's been getting off really lightly at games that he's been in attendance for, because yesterday there was an awful lot of anti-Chansiri shouts, but I have also, and I probably subscribe to this argument, they're doing fuck all and they mean nothing to him as a person because he's removed from it. I think my own personal belief is that next ramping up of this, and what we've seen with other clubs who've been through similar situations to us, is they go after the people who are still connected to the club, who are advisors. Someone like an Amadou Pakshao, who, depends on it depends on who you listen to, and I suppose what kind of side of the story that you believe. But there are reports that players were not happy with him in particular, attempting to get involved post Birmingham City. Yep. In terms of the celebrations or whatever you would like to call it, or the commiserations, and he was effectively told in no uncertain terms by the team to get out of it. He's been to every away game so far, and he's been in attendance for all of them. So he is another one for my money who should be absolutely nowhere near this football club anymore because of what he represents. He represents everything that is rotten to the core with this football club in the past 10 years. And that's just my own opinion and me as a fan speaking. I could be wrong. But again, the bank of evidence that is there to suggest that there are a number of advisors for far too long have just got off scot-free because of the way in which that this has been structured, that the chairman is the person who is responsible for it.
Well, if you think about it, just in that very nature of his job title, the advisor to the chairman, what the fuck has he been advising him then? Do you know what I mean? Because he's made lots of bad decisions over the last 10 years that he's been here, and Pak Shaw's been pretty much an ever-present for all that time as well. And that's another thing. Surely, you get rid of managers quite quickly when they're not doing things right. Get the manager off. Players, get them gone. Get some different ones in. But you keep making mistakes with, or keep being advised by this same person. But Joe, I'm going to keep with him because I think he's doing a good job. Well, no. The fact of the matter is they're both not doing a good job either. Correct. So maybe there's something else. Maybe there's just something else that we as football fans perhaps don't really understand, or perhaps not privy to, as to why he's still there and still still sorting out contracts for players and things both in and out, of which there's been a hell of a lot of those. I know you spoke about that when you did a piece on Amadou Pak Shaw and kind of looking at what's out there in the public domain and drawing all that together. And he's making a few quid. That's all I'm going to say.
The other trade-off to it, James, here with regards to Amadou Pak Shaw is if you are the chairman's personal advisor and the chairman isn't speaking, and you are the front-facing figure, which he now is, the front-facing figure at home of Sheffield Wednesday, say something. Come out and talk. Provide a statement. You are the chairman's personal advisor. You alone, we are led to believe, have a direct line to the chair, aside from Henrik Pedersen, who you have just left to effectively field questions that are nicest will in the world, way above his pay grade. Yeah. You've had Barry Bannon come out and speak on this, way above his pay grade. It is a complete and utter abject failure and negating of his responsibility as somebody who is involved in the inner circle of trust at Sheffield Wednesday. Come out and say it, because then people like myself who are putting two and two together and filling in the gaps, come out and say it. I'll then shut up and absolutely happily change my opinion. I would happily come on here. I would happily go to whatever medium and I can say, actually, do you know what? This person has come out and said this. You can only take it at face value of kind of what the person said. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. But at the minute, your silence is being as compliant with everybody else who's attached to this. From that perspective, that is presumably, and I don't know, I'm assuming again here, presumably your role within the football club to be the eyes, ears, mouthpiece for the chairman at home. So step up and do the job.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring this comment up here from Matt. He says, I'm not defending Pak Shaw, and in part after review, Matt, but isn't he the agent to a number of players as well as advisor? So I don't just believe he's there at the bequest of Dej. Just on that, I think that's one thing. Another thing that's totally wrong in all of this, that he's then the agent of all these players. And it does throw up the question of, I'm sure, because he's also then facilitating deals when players leave as well, and then when new players arrive. Surely that there's an element of you can't be doing both sides. If he's doing something for the club, and then he's also doing something for the player. Again, I'm not au fait with all these rules and regulations and stuff like that, but it does seem it does seem a little bit fishy, but yeah.
It seems counterproductive, doesn't it? Because then effectively you've got a finger in both pies or a foot in both camps, so to speak. And again, I am aware that the business of football is something that I will never understand. Why? Because I'm not in the business of football. I don't try and pretend to be, but I am a fan who is concerned about the way in which that my football club is being run. You are an individual who has been around the club now for, it's nearly his 11-year anniversary, Chansiri, in terms of owning us.
Yeah.
You have been there from the very start, originally brought on by an advisor of Doyen and have stuck around as a result of since. You are still there. You are the person who has been entrusted by the chairman to be a personal advisor. Now, you may not wish to be involved to the level that I, as a fan, am asking you to be. Sadly, there's no fucker else, because the person who is above you and who has hired you to do the job has left you, much like several others at the football club, out to dry. So either you step up and decide to do something which in his role you would like to think he's capable of doing and being able to talk, or you continue to stay silent and continue to receive what I would imagine in the coming months will be the ire and the anger of the fan base, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah, get some songs in the chat with tunes as well.
I could only think of one yesterday. Do Pakshaw is a wanker. That was the only one I could think yesterday, but I was again quite hungover.
It's got not many words, not many. It's all good for a Sheffield Wednesday fan base. So we're not that creative when it comes to songs. Let's be perfectly honest. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure that will. That one would suffice. Right, let's move on and talk about actual football then. We always start with the starting lineup. That's a good place to start. Hor-Bath, Lowe, Otugbeyo, Iofa, Palmer, Amas, Valerie, Bannon, Ingleson, the other Lowe, and George Brown up front. So it was two changes. Weaver and Cadamarteri both made way. Weaver forced out with an injury. Cadamarteri seemingly rested following the international duty with Jamaica. So yeah, Gab Otugbeyo like for like at the back, and then kind of likewise with George Brown up top. I think when we think about it, it was never really going to be any different, really, to be honest. I mean, I know we could have said maybe one of the other youngsters could have come in at the back, but really, it was always going to be Gabe Otugbeyo, and Cadamarteri was never always going to play, so it was always going to be Brown that stepped in, weren't it?
Yeah, I think before kick-off, I had, you looked at the 11 much as like we have done all season and gone, yep, that'll have to do. The concern pre-kick-off, and obviously as it transpires, the concern is that our only two centre-halves with any level of first-team league football under their belt were starting. The rest of the squad kind of is what it is, to be honest. It's no disrespect to them, but as an opposition team and as a fan, you know exactly what it is that you are going to get from a Sheffield Wednesday team at this point in time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Phil's saying, sort your microphone out, Matt. We can hardly hear you. I can hear you absolutely fine. I know he's pissing it down where he is, and he's in the conservatory, as we've kind of ascertained before. So I think we'll just have to make do as we go off. Have you muted it, Matt? Because it sounds a lot quieter now.
I've muted it, and then we'll unmute it to any time I have anything to say. Which, for everybody listening, I will speak to you all next week. Take care.
Fair enough. I think in terms of overall thoughts, I mean, for me, we don't take our chances. We were too shaky at the back, a couple of mistakes and stuff. I think personally, and I know you disagree with this one, but I thought we were okay in the first half, even though we found ourselves 2-0 down, which doesn't look great. But yeah, it was a mistake from Hor-Bath, and you could agree, could argue that perhaps, Otugbeyo and Iofa could have done a little bit better. Then you've got Lowe switching off for the free kick, which also, as we've looked back, is it offside or not? Again, we'll come on to that. And then add to that, Jamal Lowe just does everything right, what he should do in the 6-yard box, and then just nods it to the keeper. I think 2-0 was, it wasn't a fair scoreline at half-time. So, I think that flattered Charlton somewhat. I think Charlton were a physical side. I think we knew that were going to happen. Like I said, exactly how we expected it to play out, and it worked as well. A couple of WWE moves on a few players certainly didn't get the referee's attention. And then I thought we had the momentum when we got that goal. it did feel different. If people were watching on the watch along, I was kind of saying, he's just petering out to a bit of a nothing in this second half, and then all of a sudden we get a goal, and it's like game on. And we're on top for the next 10 minutes, and then they have a bit of a huddle. Goalkeeper goes down, which I know really, really frustrates Rob Staten. And then, it's just they just managed the game really well. I think Charlton in that second half, and obviously we don't have any players to come on to kind of change it. I think Bannon had a bit of an off game as well. I think a lot of misplaced passes. There's an argument which we'll talk about whether he should have played or not, because I know they're managing him. He's got a bit of an injury as well. But just a lot of effort for just in this case, absolutely no reward whatsoever.
Yeah, I think it was a tough game, but that was sort of our own doing, if you know what I mean. I thought Charlton are a very honest and hard-working team, but you look at the manner of the defeat, and as a Wednesday fan, and my personal belief, I think it's naive and quite poor from our perspective. I thought Ingelsson Namas played again well. Again, for me, James, slightly different to yourself. I just thought at the first half we weren't at the races in the key moments.
Yeah.
And I think it was just too much of a mountain to climb in the last 45 minutes, which was much, much better the second half. We were more front-footed. We were more akin and like to the away performances that we have seen this season. On the Bannon thing, I think for myself personally, I think, you're managing an injury, which is obviously the club has confirmed, but it also has to be down to us to find a way to free up space for him to operate in. He's our conductor, has been for a long time, more so than ever this season. Other players have to make more of an option to show for the ball for him to be able to bounce it off. There were several times, in particular in the first half yesterday, where he wins the ball or intercepts, and he evades the first tackle because there's always a body on to him. Because, again, if you're an opposition player, all you've got to do is just say, your task for today is a thankless one. You've just got to follow him around the pitch, like nothing else.
Yeah.
And he evades the first tackle, gets his head up to release the ball, but there isn't actually an easy pass or an option on. He's then got to evade a second action, and before you know it, Charlton have recycled the ball, and you're kind of back where it is. Now, I think in the second half, we were much better in creating that, and as a whole, not just Bannon, as a whole, I think we moved the ball side to side a lot quicker, which created and forced those gaps down the wings. But again, as you say, every time that we got into those positions, it all sort of just petered out, and it comes to not a lot, really. I thought we were much, much better in the second half. I cannot, same as Liam has just said in the chat here, I cannot fault the effort, but basic mistakes cost us. Basic mistakes cost us last year, and again, without that squad turnover and the refreshing of ideas with new players, you're just going to encounter the same things, but obviously with a heavily and severely depleted squad this year.
But the thing is as well, and I don't know if anyone listened to Henrik's pre-match press conference, but he talked about basics as well. He talked about they have gone back to basics and trying to do the simple things right and getting a kind of a good base to work from. And again, it is basics. There was a lot of, when Charlton seemed to fashion a chance, it was almost like we didn't really know what we were doing. We were just kind of chasing the ball. Someone was out of position, so someone had to then cover, which then meant that there was a man free, which then Charlton just found, and it would just looked a little bit chaotic at times. And I mean, I think we had a lot of space as well. Certainly down the right hand side, Palmer had a lot of joy. And similarly, they had the same on their end. It was almost like we were playing narrow, but then leaving a lot of space out wide. Maybe that was a bit of a game plan or not. I've no idea, but it just looked, like I said, just a bit ragged at times and not really as fluid. But I suppose we're not going to expect that, are we, from a team that didn't have a pre-season, lost most of our best players. It is a League One squad. Let's be perfectly honest about it. And every week it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, I agree, James. I would think we spoke about it at the start of the season that actually the starting 11, when every player is fit at Sheffield Wednesday, it's competitive for the bottom end of the division. But it's a squad game, and the more and the deeper that you go into the season, we're seeing now we've got issues with, we haven't got a goalkeeper for Wednesday. Well, we have, but he's never played a league or competitive match for Sheffield Wednesday. We've got one centre-half who's made, a handful of appearances and hasn't looked convincing in any of them. I would include yesterday in that as well. What are you going to do when and if, say for argument's sake, Bannon can't manage 3 games a week? Who goes and fills in that role there? Who is your creative spark? Because again, for my money yesterday, I do believe, and I am with you, I don't think it was an outstanding game where he dictated everything like he has done for several games this season. However, in those moments where you need the ball worked into wide areas or you need someone to dictate the tempo like we did for that 20 minutes when we were on top just before we scored, it's Bannon at the heart of it again and again and again. And I know we're never going to be able to replicate what he does for this football club. We aren't. In our modern era, I think it's going to be 10, 15 years before we find another Bannon-type player for us, because they're so rare that you come across at the level of football that we're playing at. But it then becomes, what happens if, say for argument's sake, for Middlesbrough on Wednesday night, my inclination is you've got to rest him. Oxford is the game that you target of the two. You don't target Middlesbrough, you target Oxford. It's common sense. But again, can you afford to? Sean Fasire came in and played right back yesterday. Again, myself and Elliot, big Sean Fasire fans. Sean Fasire is not a fucking right back, and you could tell by when he receives the ball in that area, he's not confident or comfortable at kicking the ball in front of him and taking somebody on. He's not looking to get it out of his feet and deliver it. He's looking to win the ball, cut back, check in, and go into the middle of the pitch, because that's what he knows. It's really, really... I feel so sorry for Henrik Pedersen. So sorry for Henrik Pedersen, because he, every single game, is being asked to... we talked last year about Danny Rill turning water into wine. Fucking hell, this is a hell of a job. He's got to find water to begin with to turn it into wine at the minute. It's just... It's so tough.
It just feels pointless, really, like when the job just seems like it's just absolutely impossible. It is mission impossible, really. And I think... I've been asked quite a few times on various other podcasts or whatever, what do you think to what's happening so far on the pitch? And I'm like, honestly, I didn't think we'd have this many points. I thought we'd be with Coventry every single week, 4-5-0. I know we do struggle to score goals at home, but there'd be no fight. I thought we wouldn't even be competitive. And the fact that we actually are competitive and that we're able to talk about the game and actually, again, I feel like regular listeners will know we're just talking about the game as we see it, as a game of football. Again, we know the reasons why, and it might seem like we're coming across as harsh on certain people and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, it's a game of football that we want to win, and we'll just talk to it like that. But it's just... We're not we're 10 games in, and we've literally got what now? I think we're down to 11 fit players. If you take out the suspended ones, 11 players. We're talking. Some teams have squads of 30, 40, 50 players. Like when you're in the Premier League. I know they've got a lot of games of football, but Christ, there's a lot of games in the EFL. 11 players, and we've come into this week. We've had 2 weeks off, but it was Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. Just before they finished. We're into another Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday this week. Before we know it, we're going to come to the festive period where it's fucking Mondays, Tuesdays, every other day. I always said that this isn't really the problem, this part of the season. It's going to be when it gets later on. I do really fear for what it's going to be like. It's going to be an absolute shit show, isn't it, really?
I think, when you're looking at this little run of, let's take these 3 games in isolation. Charlton yesterday, did they do enough to win the game 2-1? For my money, no, I don't think so. I think probably on the balance of play yesterday, a draw was a fair result. They were a lot of very well organised, very in your face, I would describe them as very, very typifying a Nathan Jones style of football. Like exactly what his Luton side were like, exactly what Charlton were like yesterday. You know what you're going to get from them. A couple of individual errors from our players in those key moments. But that is a game that you could realistically have taken a point from, and I am convinced with the side that we had last year, had we found ourselves in a position of being 2-0 down and got the momentum and built the way in which we did in the second half, we'd have come back and drawn that yesterday. There's no ifs or buts about it. We'd have made the appropriate and correct changes off the bench, and we'd have found a way to get an equaliser. We were doing that earlier in the season away at Wrexham, a side that are also newly promoted. The problem is we're a couple of months down the line from that and a couple of players out and far removed from that. I mean this very nicely, and again, I've been a huge Ike Ugbo defender on here. Bringing him on at the minute is just a replacement of legs. Like, that is what it is, and that is not a slight on his ability as a footballer. It is a player who is so bereft of confidence, any sort of confidence at all, that you look at the header that he had late on in the game. The header that he has late on in the game, it's a fantastic delivery. The ball goes past over the defender. He's diving onto it. I don't think there was anybody who watched that yesterday with any shred of confidence and thought he's going to hit the target here. Not one.
It's hit him on his fucking back.
And again, it's those little things, James. And again, I don't want to dig players out because, and you've said it there, I don't want to dig players out, but you can only analyse what is in front of you. And what you are seeing is a squad that have had no pre-season, that have had 2 managers over the course of that pre-season, and are now down to the absolute bare bones of a professional squad. And when we were talking about at the start of the season and the EFL came out and they were talking about they just want us to be able to fulfil fixtures, that is what it is going to get to. It is going to get to a point where this squad is just simply capable of turning up and fulfilling fixtures. And for Jan Valery, for Max Lowe, for Barry Bannon, for George Brown, for Bailey Cadamartri, Svante Ingelsson, it must just be so demoralising. So demoralising. And I genuinely do feel really sorry for everybody who is connected to the football club at the minute.
Matt, I'm just going to bring this question up and I'll answer it and I'll see what you think as well. Ted says, where do you think we'll be in the table if we still had Gassama, Windass, Smith, Pato, Masaba and Dish? Just for context as well, obviously we sat bottom, 6 points. I love all the mind the gap from United fans as well. I mean, I'm not being funny, but 6 and 6 isn't really a gap. But anyway, is what it is. So yeah, Blackburn are on 7, Derby and Norwich are on 8, Oxford are on 9, and then there's a couple of teams on 12, which takes you up to 15th, and then 13 points goes up to 12th. So we're like kind of 6 or 7 points off mid-table, just for context. Where do you think we'd be if we had those additional players that Ted said?
I think just to add on to that, Ted, I would also be asking for some context surrounding the situation if it was settled and managerial stuff hadn't happened. Because I go back to this, we saw it last year with Ike Ugbo, and I made this point as a defence. If you haven't got a pre-season and you haven't got your legs under you, it doesn't matter about the level of players. We may have picked up 1 or maybe 2 more wins, but I don't think so. Because what I think you are seeing is players getting to that 60-minute mark in games, and they're gassed. They are absolutely gassed. And it becomes... There was a tactical foul yesterday, I think, about the 87th minute by Sean Fasire. I'm not talking about the Ethan Hor-Bath tactical foul. I'm talking about there was Sean Fasire, player at Charlton. Yeah. They've sat in a low... to borrow a Darren Moore phrase, low block. They've sat in a low block. Charlton have broke. And Sean Fasire has just wrapped his arms around the kid and just gone, you're not going anywhere from me. And as the referees then pulled it back, you can see every single one of the outfield players just hands on their knees, just huffing and puffing, like they've properly gassed themselves out. And it then becomes a point of, we've got a lot of players who have a very, very long-standing track record of an injury history, and we're asking them to, where they should only be playing maybe 50 or 60 minutes, we're asking them to go 95 minutes 3 times a week, and including that, they're not getting the ample recovery, they're not getting the time on the training pitch, or they haven't had the time on the training pitch to condition their bodies to be able to perform at a level that is required at this particular standard of football. It's just so difficult.
Yeah, well, I suppose if you have got those additional 6 players that Ted's mentioned, how many times have we seen you look to the bench and there is literally no one on the bench to change the game. If you've got a Gassama, a Masaba, Windass, I mean, to be fair, they'd be starting. So I think you've actually got some. I think personally, I think we would probably have got maybe a couple of more wins. I mean, look, it's not going to change the 5-0 drubbing against Coventry, But then again, we might not concede the 5 goals if we've got a bit more of an attacking threat. I mean, teams can just come at us and they can just attack and know that eventually they will get through. We've kept 1 clean sheet all season. Like we concede a lot of goals, and I mean we'll come on to. Sorry, whoever's going to be in net for the Middlesbrough game, but yeah, that shoot on sight if I were the Middlesbrough boss. You've just brought a comment up there.
Yeah. Sorry, James. I've just brought a comment up from Chris, who said, I think the quality of the Championship this year is awful. I would second it. I've seen one good side this year, and that's Coventry. I know we haven't played, like top standard teams and all the rest of it, and they're coming further down the line. But I do just look at I said that we said this about the division last year, and we bemoaned the fact that we didn't have the squad depth then. But I am looking at the games that we have played this year and this season. When we went to Portsmouth were on a bit of a tear at that point when we actually turned up at Fratton Park. They could still be playing now and they wouldn't have scored. Charlton yesterday, 2 chances, really. Took both of them. Aside from that, very well organised, very well drilled, hard in a tackle, but not much quality on show. And this, I really don't want any of this to come across as like sour grapes at all, because, again, we've talked about the fact that there have been a number of teams who've done exactly what is required to beat us over the course of the season. But you go back and you look at Bristol City, who were 3-0 up inside 30 minutes and then kicked it into second gear. Stoke is another prime example. Yeah. Stoke, I mean, Sorba Thomas was made to look like Cristiano Ronaldo because of who he was playing against. Now, I know he started off the season really well, but you're just looking at the quality of the division and the teams that you would historically expect to have started the season well. Your newly relegated sides, your Ipswiches, I know they're not newly relegated, but those who've just gone above us, our dearly beloved neighbours from the other side of the city. There isn't outright quality in the division this year, aside from potentially Coventry and Borough.
I'm looking. So second, Borough have won 2 in the last 6. Stoke 2 in the last 6. Leicester only won 1 in the last 6. They're 4th. West Brom 3 defeats and 2 wins in the last 6. Like there's not a lot of. The teams at the top just haven't really. They're still there. Like they shouldn't have such poor form and still be at the top. Effectively at the top of the league. And we're talking, all right, yeah, Coventry. They're the only form side. I think four wins they've had on the bounce now. So, but other than that, like it's just. When you look on Flash, who scored? Sorry, and you've got the red and the green and stuff. It's just. Everywhere. Normally, you kind of, at this stage of the season, you see a bit of a pattern. The teams at the bottom keep losing every week. The teams at the top are winning every week. But you're not seeing any sort of pattern at all. And I agree, this season is a very, very poor championship. Let's talk about the goals then. First goal came, Sonny Carey. I picked him out. Of course I picked him out as a player to watch. He kind of operated in that number 10 role. It was just far too easy for Tyrese Campbell to find that space out wide. I've already referenced it earlier. He drives towards the box. It's a half-decent effort from Carey. I think he just catches Hor-Bath. He hits it early, doesn't he? It comes to him and it's just a bit of a snapshot with his left foot. Hor-Bath has had a bit of a mare. He saved it and then he kind of kicks it back. It hits his legs or something and bobbles back out. And then, yeah, Carey's first to react, 1-0. Otubeyo doesn't come out of this with any sort of praise, really. The shot comes in and I mean, Carey is kind of already running at this point anyway, so I think his momentum carries him through. But if you watch it, he's just kind of watching the ball, and then, I suppose you expect the keeper to save it, but in this, professional football, you don't know what's going to happen. You've got to follow it up, and their striker does, and it's 1-0.
And that's kind of where I look at it. I think when you look at going back to breaking the goal down, fucking transition goals again. Killed us all the year this year, killed us all last year as well. Iorfa obviously is isolating in a 1v1 situation, but he has to do more to show him wide. He doesn't. He overcommits, allowing the is it Davis, the player, inside, or is it Campbell? One of the two.
Yeah.
Campbell. He allows him inside. Bannon then has to come across because Jan Valerie's out of position as well. That allows Carey to just run off him into the space behind. Otugbayo is too deep. He's about 5 yards. He's in the what I would affectionately call the Michael Ehekwa defensive zone, where he's too deep in comparison to the rest of the back line. So he's not tight enough. Yeah, I agree with you. Carey takes a snapshot and it's a good strike. Hor-Bath sort of gets the ball trapped underneath him and it bounces just before him. Again, when you freeze it, if you freeze it, again, because you have to watch all of these fucking goals back doing this, like the minute that it hits his hands, Hor-Bath, and you freeze it, you are right, Carey's momentum is taking him forward. My wonder is, why the fuck isn't Otugbayo's? Because he's also running across with him. Both of them are going away from goal when the shots hit. They should both be reacting the same way. The biggest telltale sign is when you freeze it on that point, Otugbayo's weight is leaning backwards and Carey's is taking him forwards. By the time Otugbayo has tried to get an arm across him, Carey's past him. It's a good finish. He's 4 yards out and he has to get it past the goalkeeper, who, to be fair to Hor-Bath, he is back up and on his feet, ready to try and make a block. The reason why I go back to the defensive issues here, James, is because this plagued us last year. We've mentioned them already. Coventry, when I had to go at Michael Ehekwa and Max Lowe for ball watching and not following in on the striker. You have to do more. You have to do more to block runners. You have to do more to get your body in the way of things. All of the horrible shit that Charlton were brilliant at yesterday. You mentioned it right at the top. Wrestling players left, right and centre. George Brown, Jan Valerie. They're all over them at every single opportunity. You have to do more. And again, we are just too nice. We are too nice so that when a keeper makes that mistake, we've not barged or put the kid to the floor.
How many times do you see it, Matt, where that happens or in another team and then the keeper's made a mistake, but then you see it that defenders rushed up to keeper and keeper's managed to smother it and he's like kind of shielding ball and everything. And you don't see that from us. And again, I'm sure the mind is elsewhere. As much as Pedersen keeps telling us on the press conferences that they're not spending any energy talking about all that sort of stuff. Yeah, maybe whilst he's in the room and stuff, but actually he's going to take your mind away from it all the time. But you've just got from a footballing perspective. This goal is kind of. When I said earlier about them just being a bit all over the place, it was this one. When you see everyone's kind of. It looks like they're out of position. I don't know if they are or not. I know they have in possession and out of possession now, but that's Bannon having to come across and then that doesn't really work. It leaves someone free, and it's just people. There's like extra bodies around, and I mean, it's not that many people really. Not many Charlton players there. No. They just managed to get that shot off, and they managed to. Well, yeah, ultimately they come away 1-0 up, and 17 minutes in, it was a bit of a. We've had that chance before that the Jamal Lowe one. And it was just for me watching it. It was like typical. Do you know what I mean? Like this is just typical. We have a chance, don't take it. They go down the other end, they take theirs, and it's 1-0.
I understand what you're saying, James. I think when we were talking about the out of position, and I do agree with there've been some recent stats that have been posted about when sides concede, and I'm sure we have covered it on the pod before about like it doesn't matter about momentum. Momentum isn't when most teams score. Most teams score actually when they're on the back foot because they're able to do this in transition. We have conceded so many goals this season from set pieces and in transition because actually... No,
I think I can stop you there, Matt. We've conceded so many goals this season.
Yeah, sorry. But no, the point that I'm making is, when we are allowed to be defensively set like we were at Portsmouth...
Leeds.
Leeds. We're okay. Like when we are just defensively set and everybody knows their jobs, we're good. Like we can defend that. I've got no problem with it. It's... set pieces where we still don't know what the fuck we're doing with those. That's a different issue. But it's then when you're looking at goals in transition, when bring players down, commit fouls, do the horrible thing that nobody wants to do, the stuff that we were doing in the Great Escape season. Like when the lad picks it up, Campbell picks it up out wide. Iorfa's either got to show him wide or go and just clatter him and just give a free kick away and just go, right, everybody's back and reset. There was loads of people out of position. I'll take the yellow card. Yeah. We don't do anything. We're sort of still trying to do the quote-unquote right thing by like jockeying him and showing him in and allowing other people to... Fuck all of that. Just start... I mean this very nicely, and I know we can't deal with like many players being out. You've just got to make decisions, and you've got to stick to those decisions, because what is costing us at the minute is the fact that we aren't making those decisions. And that comes from, James, as we've said right at the top, when you're talking about it has to be on players' minds. It comes from mental fatigue and physical fatigue. That's when players make those individual errors.
Yeah, I think as well, Otubeyo, it was on a yellow card as well, when he got a yellow card very, very early. So maybe that's playing on his mind a little bit, not having to bring that lad down as he goes past him. So yeah, we'll see. Second goal then comes in injury time. We couldn't even get to half time without it being 2. I mean, it is a good free kick. It's exactly what you want the delivery to be, in between the goalkeeper and the defence, and players running on it and attacking it. All you've got to do is get your head on it. To be fair, they had probably 3 people that could have got the head on it. But Burke, who scores the goal, just gets a march on Max Lowe, and Max Lowe doesn't get goal side. I mean, you could argue, Matt, and I was and ahhing whether it was or it wasn't, and I was like, I haven't heard much said about it, so maybe I don't think it is, but you said it as well. He's offside, isn't he? He's offside.
I'd have a march if I started 2 yards ahead of him as well. It's he's offside. Like, again, it's a fantastic delivery into the box. It's a bullet header. Okay, fine, no problem with that. He's a yard in front of everybody. It's Dom Iorfa who is the furthest player. He's right at, when you're looking at the camera angle, he's at the far left edge of the box. He's off. Now, again, in the moment, behind that goal, you're never, ever seeing it. Never in a million years seeing it. But any time that a defender is that far in front of a... Do you know what I mean? Any time that there is a defender that far in front of a... Because it's the player who's in the centre, isn't it, there?
Yeah, for people who are watching it, if you're listening on audio medium, sorry. If you're watching it, I have brought up a still of that moment. And you can just see he's just taken... You've not done your stopping skills too good, Matt, because he has literally just taken it. But yeah, you get the point.
Yeah, and again, it's by the by, and it's academic, because do I think that Charlton probably would have got another goal? Yeah, fine. He's offside. The closest one is Dominic Iorfa at the back stick, but again, I think then when you're looking at the
I don't know. Is it Palmer who's
Palmer who's near post? But again, if you look across the line, Palmer's heels are on the edge of the box. Unless Palmer has turned into fucking Stretch Armstrong, his head is not going to be further forward. Again, the linesman. But when you look at the linesman position, the referee's assistant's position isn't great for it. But again, no complaints. Absolutely no complaints at all. Had we done enough to be in the game? No, I don't think so. We didn't take our chances. Charlton take both of them, and they get a little slice of luck as well. No problem. Yeah, did anyone think of calling the lino a wanker or something? Because I don't know if you saw that video of the non-league game where they threatened to get the game called off. Maybe we should just do that every single week. Just call them. I don't condone any sort of verbal abuse to the lino unless we're 4-0 down. But anyway. If he's at home, there'll be no fucker left, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you've got to do what you've got to do to you've got to be nasty. You've got to get to win these games. Let's talk about a positive. We scored a goal. Good play down the right hand side. I mean, it comes on 69 minutes. Little snigger there for the kids in the little kids in the chat.
It didn't come on 67 minutes. Put it that way, James. I've just had people going 6-7 all the time. Jesus. Anyway,
mate, just like my kids are 7 and 4. And they're doing it, and I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
It's not. It's nonsense. It's total nonsense. That's what it is. It's nonsense. But yeah. Anyway,
came on 69. That's maybe for our generation. That was
blessing in disguise.
That was yeah, exactly. It's good play down the right hand side. Bannon gets played through by, I want to say, Fashira, and then he. Kind of wants it. You can see it's fair play to him. He does want it. He runs onto the edge of the box. Bannon checks back, plays it into him. Good effort on his left foot as well from Fashira. Beats the keeper. Unfortunately, doesn't beat the post. But again, we get a little bit fortunate in that it comes straight off the post and straight into the path of, well, doing what he should be doing. Jamal Lowe following it in, and fair play, because I think he has had a bit of a rough time. I've been giving him a bit of a rough time as well, in terms of his performances and stuff, and I don't think he's been great, but he'll just point to that number 2 at the side of the in the column of goals scored this season, which he's got. I mean, we can talk about the goal, Matt, but I think first of all, did you think that we had a chance at that point? It's 2-1. There's 20, you could argue 25 minutes left of the game if you want to add the added time on. It felt like things were changing.
Absolutely. I thought we were in the ascendancy from the start of the second half. We looked a much better outfit. I thought we were moving the ball at pace and quicker. We were working the ball into wide areas and getting Harry Amass on the ball, who, I mean, also, James, aside from this, what a fucking player he is. I mean, again, we could see when we had a quality loan player last year in Shea Charles, what a player he was. I don't think Harry Amass is at that standard yet, but my God, he's a good player. Like, he's more than capable and competent of playing championship football, and he's, 18? Really good player. But again, I thought we were good. I was surprised by how effective Sean Fasire was, playing so far out of position. And if he's not careful, he's going to become a bit of an odds and sods jobs type of player, because technically he's a centre midfielder. Could you see him becoming like a Liam Palmer type of player who can play in a multitude of different positions? I think so, from what we saw yesterday. It's a great shot from the edge of the box. Again, as you've already mentioned it, Jamal Lowe following it in. Good finish as well. I thought he'd missed, but it's a good finish. You've got to roof it. That's the only place where the ball can go to beat the keeper, and he does so. He's got, 2 in 3? Been involved in a number of our goals this season going forward. But after the goal, Charlton make some subs, some clever tactical injuries, and just take the sting out of it. And we continue to work the ball into good wide areas and get good opportunities, but don't deliver first time because the forwards aren't up with play. When we do deliver, we've got forwards who are heading it off the back. We've got people who are being bullied and beaten to the air, and it just sort of petered out, really, didn't it? Especially the last. Yeah. I think if you were gonna think that there was something coming from that game around the 88th minute, it still felt like we were really in with a chance. And then again, you have to give credit to the opposition. Killed it. Charlton just killed that. Saw the board go up and went 5 minutes easy, and just took the ball into corners. We're smashing it off players for throw-ins. We're smashing it out for corners. We're just, any time that we got the ball, for some reason, for some stupid reason, we seem to continue to go long with it to their centre-half. It was just like, I'll win every one of these all day. Again, frustrating. Ethan Hor-Bath then decides to go full WWE, or it's NFL on today. NFL was at Wembley as well today, so I'm sure he just wanted to get involved, with his fellow Americans being over.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm just going to bring this comment up. George says, look away for 2 seconds and you're doing some new analysis, Malarkey. Just wait. Next week, George, we're going to have the arrows on the screen. We're going to have that little, that spotlight that comes on the players. We're going to have a big screen. We're going to have a big screen, and we're going to go full Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher on you.
That meme of just him stood with the VAR goggles on, just going, well, if you just freeze it there.
Yeah, mate, it's the future. We are going to bring you some in-depth analysis never seen anywhere else, mainly because it's shit. But anyway, we always give it the eye test. You can't talk about offside and then not have a still image of said offside. So thanks, Matt, for sending it in our chat so I could bring it up and doing it all on the fly, because it's a well-oiled machine, this one, of course. I was praying that you were going to talk for long enough so I had time to save it, upload it, and then bring it up on the screen. So good, because that would have been a waste of time if not. Matt says, the trouble is our players don't appeal for anything. Whenever in the ref's faces, we just stand there and walk towards half line. We're too soft. We are, Matt, aren't we? We just don't... we're just too nice. I've said it for... The only season where we weren't was when David Stockdale was here.
Yeah,
that was the only time where we did any of the dark arts, to use that phrase. Other than that, we're not that team. Like, players come and go, managers come and go. We're just not that type of squad.
No, and as you say, players come and go, but actually we've retained a lot of players who have given us, as a football club and as players, they've given us a fantastic amount of service, and I am genuinely thrilled that a lot of them have stuck around this year as well. But it does mean that when you've got experienced players who aren't like that, where's the like the leadership, or where's the initial instance for your younger players to go and get involved in all of that horrible stuff as well? They just don't do it, and I'm really concerned that we get into a position this year where the 11 on the pitch, and I am convinced that as Barry Bannon being your captain, will never allow this to happen. But I think I've just noticed that Louis just put it in the chat, taking the words right out of my mouth. He's feeling sorry for yourself, and because the opposition fans also at the moment are still they feel sorry for us as well. That it all
it's easy to feel sorry for a team when you smash them 5-0 or you beat them 2-1 and walk away with 3 points. After the event, you can go, "Oh, I feel really sorry for you. Like, thanks for the 3 points. See you later." You know what I mean?
It's really, really difficult. But yeah, we are, James, here just avoiding the horrendous car crash in the room, which is the Ethan Hor-Bath 97th minute red card.
He's got it massively wrong, had he, really, to be fair. I mean, if you watch it, Palmer as well, I think he needs to come.
Yeah.
He gets it a little bit wrong in the. And I know we're 2-1 down. It's 96th minute or something. We're in the last throes of added on time. He should do a bit better, I think. But then Hor-Bath just comes. There's a camera angle from, I suppose it's from the away end actually, looking down, and he kind of comes out to the edge of his box, and he's shall I shan't I? And then he's like, "Oh shit, I've got to come," and he comes out. And at the time, I was like, "Whoa, this is red card straight away." And then I'm like, "Fucking refs played on. What's he doing?" And then there was the whole. I thought Ivan Hor-Bath had got rigor mortis. He was like laid on his back with his like arms and legs in the air. Like, what's is he? I thought he died like on the pit. I thought I know you should. Well, you can because he's all right. He's absolutely fine. He wasn't that. I don't know what he was doing. Like, just relax, kid. Just put your legs down. You know, you've had a howler.
Worst acting gig you've ever seen in it from a player not trying to get sent off. You're appalling.
It's like, if I stay down here long enough, how can I make it look like I'm really fucking hurt? I know, let's put my legs in the air. Like, what was he doing? But it's an horrific challenge, isn't it, really?
He's absolutely horrendous, James. But again, you've mentioned it already. You go back to Liam Palmer, an experienced professional. Body check the lad running in, like, get in front of him. Go if he gets his body in front of him and goes down, there is a high likelihood the referee, who was poor for both sides by the way yesterday, gives a free kick. There's a high likelihood that if he stands across him and just literally gets a brush of him and hits the floor, guess what? Referee goes, free kick, and we've got an opportunity to go. He doesn't. He half tries. And bear in mind, I know the lad who was running through is quick. He's got a 5-yard head start on him. And you know where the ball's going because there's nobody else up there. You know it's going over the top. And it comes back to that being mentally and physically drained and exhausted. Yeah. But you've got to get across them. You've got to do the right things. You then get to Ethan Hor-Bath, who, aside from committing and deciding that he's going to come out and just take everything, but win the ball first...
Yeah, he missed that bit.
He missed the crucial bit at the beginning, didn't he? But it's the delay, isn't it? And that's what causes the fact that he doesn't get to the ball. It's and it's a keeper who's nervous, and somebody who, nicest will in the world, isn't a career number one. It's somebody who is a backup goalkeeper or an emergency loan goalkeeper here. The forward is bearing down, cleaning, unopposed. It's a fucking shocker. It is a shocker of a challenge. He's very lucky he hasn't come off with broken ribs. And the other lad has got very lucky that, because I think when Hor-Bath makes contact with him, his hip is actually at head height. And that is a really difficult part of your body to make. Like, you know, if that smacks him in the jaw or the side of the head, I mean, he is out cold. But it is just a case of... Look, it's a shocker, but it's a horrible, horrible history of players in defence being too soft and not completing and seeing through with their job. And I don't want to dig out somebody like Liam Palmer, and I hate digging players out on the whole, because actually I thought, again, going back to Liam's comment, I thought the effort was there yesterday. The desire and the want to win, in particular in the second half, was there, but we're just making too many sloppy mistakes that are just the basics that you have to get right.
Yeah, Matt says also, why didn't a player go off his stretch to come on? We'd made 4 subs, but we'd made 3 separate substitutions, so you can only make 3. You can make one at half time, and that doesn't count. But Fashira came on for Dom in the first half, then Ugbo Kadamatri came on for Ingleson and Brown, and then McNeil came on for Otagbeo on 80 minutes. So we couldn't make a sub, even though we had 1 sub to make. We couldn't make it, hence why Palmer went in. And I'm sorry, I was dying for him to make a save. I thought he was going to go full Lee Bullen and make a save, but that free kick was a terrible free kick that went 40 yards over the bar.
40 yards up over the bar.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, what a fucking goal kick he's got on him. Jesus Christ. He took the goal kick after, and I was thinking, I might have a chance of getting my head on this here.
Yeah, it was he was probably just thinking, fucking hit it as hard as I fucking can.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just...
Do you remember kids' football when it used to be like the keeper couldn't kick it, so a centre half had to take it? And you were watching him take it going, oh my God, that is a long old way.
I know the footballs are a lot better than the ones that I used to use, but like, and obviously the pitches are a lot bigger and longer. And I'm like, how the fuck they kick it so far? I struggle getting it to halfway line, let alone kind of sailing past it like they do. And like I said, the pitches that I played on, like the edge of the D is about 4 yards, and then the centre circle starts. Do you know what I mean? They're not, it's almost like a 5-a-side pitch when you look at it.
And in Sheffield, it's on about 20-foot of slope as well.
A few bobbles as well. There's not much grass on it. Certainly not in the summer. You know, the goal mouth is just like a desert. You know, just with dust.
A beach, just dust. You've been in goal all afternoon. You play Wembley. You're just in goal coming home going, coughing up dirt.
Yeah, all you've got to do is just hit it low and hard. You know, like you might catch a bobble and go top corner if you're lucky. But yeah, anyway, right. Let's. I don't think we're going to get through everything. Just looking at the time, we're an hour and 15 in as usual. We've already talked about Chansiri not being in the director's box. I mean. Matt, there's one here from George. What's that move called in wrestling? And Barry's gone with the DDT. Matt, was you a wrestling fan in your youth?
For a little period of time, I think when he makes contact with him, I think I would probably akin it more to a swanton bomb like Jeff and Matt Hardy, where he's hit him, he's then flipped over and his legs are up in the air with some, I can't remember who's put it, I'll see if I can find it in the chat. Oh, it's Steve, there we go. And this was the one that I've seen that's most like it. He's had his legs in some invisible stirrups. He's outrageous. And then, you know, on Sky, you'll have seen it obviously, James, on the coverage that you're watching, and they pan into the 2 players on the floor, and he's just got his mouth open, just like frozen. I don't know whether he's shouting. I don't know anything. It's oh my God, what a fucking car crash.
Yeah, maybe Palmer could be just rushing in with a table, and they could have put him through the table at the same time. Talking about WWE moves, like, honestly, they did 3 on us, and we haven't talked about that. Well, there was, I suppose, we could talk about like their aggressive nature in Charlton. There was 3 times. There was one with George Brown, and again, I think your vantage point wasn't great, was it? Being at the other end of the pitch, but George Brown, the ball goes out for a throw in, and the player kind of swings him round by the neck. Ref just play on, like just gives a throw in to them. I think it was. Then there was the one in the box. I think it's a corner where Valerie's shirt is full over his head, and I'm like, what? How is, like, I think Valerie was saying to the ref, like my shirt's like up round my neck, like I've not done that myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, the player's got hold of my shirt, you can't do that. And then there was another one with the keeper, I think, and George Brown having a bit of handbags as well. And you're thinking, that is their game plan, isn't it? Their game plan is to just rough the other team up and make it difficult. It's almost like what you'd say in Sunday League, you know, like, make him, you know, what you used to say, you know, make him know you're there. You know, as a defender.
Let him know you're there. Let him know you're there. First tackle. Win your first tackle.
Yeah. Make sure, bald man, get the lot, you know, go straight through him.
Every Yorkshire dad. Every Yorkshire dad on the sideline. Don't fucking nesh it. Come on.
But it's true, but you know what though? And as a fan base, when you see that, it does get you going, doesn't it? You love it when someone comes flying in with a good tackle. You're like, yeah, fucking go on. That's what you want to see.
Callum Patterson in the Steel City derby last year smashes him and then smashes the ball at the back of his head, gets booked, stupidest yellow card. Everyone's up off their fucking feet going, come on. Again, going back to it, James, and that approach to football, no, I have no problem with it, and I think there's a lot to be said for a football side, a club, a team, managers, coaching staff, knowing exactly what you are. Like if you take Manchester City, who don't get this at all. They're never going to get this tag, are they? Manchester City, it's liquid, it's all football on the floor, it's pass it into all of the zone 27 and all the rest of it. Erling Haaland, who plays up front, is the biggest shithouse you have ever seen. He's nipping at people, he's pushing people, he's pinching people, he's throwing the ball at the back of players' heads. You've got to have an element of it in your team to any level and degree. You can't just turn up and hope that another team isn't going to have that in. Those dark arts, we don't do them and we don't make the most of it. And this is my bigger issue, is we don't make the most of it when it's done to us. Because I actually wouldn't I wouldn't complain as a Sheffield Wednesday fan if every single one of our players turned into a soft arse and just started moaning for everything and going at the referee for absolutely everything. You know when Jan Valerie's had that ragged over his head, his shirt, what he should be doing is throwing himself to the fucking floor.
Yeah.
Going down like he's been hit on the back of his head and all the rest of it. Do I think that this is exactly what we should be doing? No. Do I think that if a referee is going to let this go, and he's going to let it go because he's, as you said, he's ragged George Brown round the throat, there's a shirt up over his head, you've got to make the most of it, you've got to do more of it, you've got to try to, when you get nipped or fouled, you've got to go down and make the referee make a decision. Just letting them get away with it and not going after them and not getting in their ear, not having a stern talking to. Because we know in the first week of this season, James, first 2 weeks of the season, happens every year, referees, only the captain is supposed to approach me and nobody else needs to talk. By week 4, it's out the fucking window. Like, it's gone. It's out the window. Nobody gives a shit. We don't do it. We've never done it. That yesterday, prime example, second goal, not one person appeals for an offside. Not one. Not one player sticks their hand up and appeals for offside. Everybody's just throwing their hands up and looking around at everybody. It's just, when you're in the trenches like we are this year, you have to. You might not want to. You have to. You have to get involved in that side of the game, and we just don't do it. And it seems that we're unwilling to do so. It's like we don't want to win like that. What the fuck are you talking about? Win? Just anything that you can do. Yeah,
Charlton are top half at table by playing like that. So not saying we're going to do the same, but he's clearly working for them, isn't it, really? Anyway, listen up, you Wednesday faithful. Don't miss us as we take on Borough on Wednesday night, live on Sky Sports with Now. You can catch all the action with a Now membership, so don't miss a moment. Just search for nowtv.com. That was smooth as anything, that one, weren't it? Anyway, let's talk about the Borough game on Wednesday. They're second. Up until yesterday, I forgot that Michael Carrick weren't even there, man. This is how much interest I take in other teams. And obviously, with everything that's been going off, I've watched zero football from any other teams. But yeah, it's Rob Edwards that's their gaffer. 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 defeat in their last 5. A 2-1 win against Ipswich on Friday night. Matt, the big question is, who's going in goal?
Logan Stretch. Like, it has to be. It has to be. He's 18 years old, isn't he?
Yes.
He has to go and go. Well, who else are you going to put in goal? Palmer. Like legitimately, who else are you going to put there?
Well, there has been a little bit of a rumour.
Don't you dare fucking say Kieran Westwood. Don't say Kieran Westwood. That is the most... honest, I might as well go in net if we're going to do that. Like, what the fuck is the point? Like, oh, my God.
No, it's... who is it now? I think... Simon Quick, he put a picture of Joanna Lumley on Twitter. And then if you do a quick search, there is a goalkeeper called Joe Lumley, who I think is at, I want to say he's at Bristol City, 30-year-old keeper.
Sure.
Don't know how much truth is that. Can you have an emergency loan on top of an emergency loan? Because there's obviously a reason why Logan Stretch can't play. Because he would have just played instead of Ethan Hor-Bath, surely. But we've been allowed to get an emergency. I don't know what the problem is. Like, he's 18 years old. Like, has he? I don't know why we just can't play him. But I mean, have we got any other goalkeepers?
My question would be, James, honestly, is he signed to a professional contract? Is he signed to a professional contract or not? Like, do
you have to have a professional contract to play?
I have no idea.
Well, I suppose he's 18, isn't he? So he must have, surely. I think he did, because he's the one that came from Liverpool in the summer, along with 3 or 4 other.
George Nixon's put 8 o'clock's his bedtime.
Yeah, that's why I haven't seen Yusset Allow as well, and all those that are young lads. But no, he's 18. I've looked, but he hasn't played any real football. He was on the bench, weren't he? It definitely was on the bench.
Yep.
For this one.
Sure.
Was he on the bench? Yes, he was. He was there. So, yeah. I mean, look. What a game to come into. I mean,
yeah.
If there's any game to come into, it's at Hillsborough. There's no fucker there. I mean, maybe that's going to play to his advantage a little bit. And we're playing against a side that's second in the league and looked very good as well. I know I mentioned I didn't watch much football. I've seen a few bits. It didn't zoom into Michael Carrick, probably because he's not the manager.
Maybe he's not there. Yeah. So that's just him at home with feet up. Or he'll be interviewing for Rangers' job next anyway.
I will be. Hey, Range, you can't say that word on here. You know, it's got a swear word on this podcast.
I'm going to keep them going all season until they get a manager.
Yeah, it looks like it's not anytime soon anyway. But yeah, it's going to be tough, innit? I mean, I'm not just for the keeper, but Wednesday is just going to be. It's not about the football again. Wednesday's all going to be about who's there, who's not there, who's gone, and all that sort of stuff. Which well, can we just go back to when football was fun, Matt? When was the last time it was actually fun?
When was it fun? Because I remember you saying I didn't really enjoy League One because there was too much pressure. The next year we hadn't won in 10. Hey, there's a positive silver lining in everything. Could be worse. It could be Cisco Munoz.
Do you know what? It's mad, isn't it? You know, when you go back over history, you go back over the last 10 years, or even further, ever since we've followed. I go back to the early 2000s, yeah, and you go back to the times where you got mad at football and you thought it was really bad and stuff, and you think, fucking hell, like give me Cisco Munoz any day of the week. And I never thought I'd be saying that. You know, I mean, if you just go back to that point where, you know, if you knew then what you know now, like how things would be a lot different.
I mean, first off on Logan Stretch, I mean, good luck to the lad. Every single Wednesday fan, although there won't be many there, irrespective of what the official attendance is announced as, we are all behind you. Again, James, having lived in Liverpool as a city, I personally love a fucking Scouse goalkeeper. Scouse goalkeeper's gobby as anything, always shouting at people, trying to get in everybody's head. Really, just go for it. If you're in his position, you have absolutely nothing to lose. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. If you concede 3 absolute howlers, there isn't going to be one Sheffield Wednesday fan who holds you to any level of account whatsoever. None. So actually, please just enjoy it for what it is. It's your professional league debut in a competitive league game at a legitimately big. It's a big stadium. Like, I really, really hope he enjoys it, and I hope he sees it for what it is. Aside from that, I mean, the bigger issue for me and the worry is what's in front of him. Is we've got one fit centre back currently who had to come off through, I don't know, cramp or whatever, but he's come off at the weekend.
Dead leg, I think it was. What
dead leg, which he may not. If it's a dead leg, he may not recover from.
Well, it looked bad because he went down 3 times as well. He tried to play through it, and it clearly couldn't.
Dominic Iorfa has got his October injury, so we don't know whether that's going to be. We don't know whether
tick on the bingo card there. That's.
And again, this isn't me slating Dominic Iorfa, but it's an October injury for Dominic Iorfa yet again. Who's going to play there? Are we going to? Because you're going to have to move Liam Palmer in there. You're going to have to move Jan Valery in there. You're going to have to move. I know Max Lowe plays there regardless at the minute. And then who's going to play in the centre of midfield? Is it going to be Sean Fasire alongside Banner? Like, what is it going to be? Because you have to change then the whole structure, and the defensive shape isn't sound enough as it is. So actually, I hope he's got 2 sets of gloves, because I'd imagine after the first half, them Royces are going to be worn out. I'll be honest with you.
We've got, I find it funny that we haven't got any goalkeepers, because didn't we? I can remember giving squad numbers to about 17 goalkeepers. That was kind of the running joke, weren't it? That we just filled the squad with young goalkeepers. I'm looking now. We have got Logan Stretch. Killian Barrett is another one, and then Jack Phillips is again. I've not heard of any of those at all. And didn't we had one keeper that was in the England setup, like you've set up at one point. I've no idea what's happened to him, but
sorry, James, just to come back to that point now in terms of who plays in front of him. Genuinely, is this the point where you chuck McGee in? Like, is this the point where you chuck him in? Because he, again, in the games where he's played, I thought has looked good. But again, do you want that level of pressure on a young kid? No, you don't. But it's
to be fair, Matt, just go back to Leeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, in all seriousness, like, they did a job against Leeds. They would have got a point in that game. Let's just play the kids. You might have a few. It isn't a cup game, so you're gonna have. You might have Palmer in there, or you might have Jamal Lowe, for example.
Max Lowe, not Jamal Lowe. Lowe at centre half. Yeah.
Well, not at centre half. I just mean in the squad. I mean, you never know. He might do a good job back there, but just we're not going to win the game. Like, let's just be straight up and honest about it. We've had a lot of miracles at Sheffield Wednesday. We need another one to win on Wednesday with the amount of adversity. We haven't even talked about the fact that we could have been in administration come Monday as well when we wake up.
Gives a fuck about that.
Well, I suppose if we hadn't spoke about it, we could do another emergency pod, Matt.
Jesus Christ, this fucking football club just keeps giving, doesn't it?
Matt, we've done an hour and a half. We could literally do another hour and a half talking about this absolute bollocks that is Sheffield Wednesday. Well, actually, we are going to talk for another at least half an hour, maybe even a little bit longer, because we are going to do extra time. If you do want to listen to that, if you do want to carry on, patreon.com/WTID pod is where you need to go. You'll find the link over there once you've signed up to the extra time episode. Will be going on in about 10 or 15 minutes time, so you can get yourself give you enough time to sort that one out. We're going to be talking about I just want to, Matt, like me and you talk about where we're at on, like, from a personal level. Just, where you're at, where your head's at with Sheffield Wednesday. Like, just remove all the. I know we speak our emotions quite a lot on here anyway, but just what does all this actually mean? You take a step back and you look at it, and you look at, like, life. I mean, that sounds really deep, but just really honest. And because I was thinking about that earlier, and I'm like, what great point. Let's me and you kind of open up and talk about it. And because I think I see a lot of people saying they've done with it. I've had enough of football now. I've had enough for it. I can't be arsed. I'm not going. I used to go every week. I had season tickets. I'm just going to do something else with my day. And yeah, I think it's incredibly sad. So Craig says, can we have less happiness on extra time, please? Bring the doom and gloom. George says, tell us what you really think. Yeah, we will be doing exactly that. Head over patreon.com/WTID pod. We'll see you over there. And it sounds like the rain's finished where Matt is, so we'll at least be able to hear him on his microphone anyway. Cheers, guys, and we'll see you over there. Cheers.